Hello and welcome back to Coffee on the Coast. I'm your host today, Tina Prigge, and we are so happy to once again welcome Julia Lee from the award-winning Manitowoc Public Library. Julia, thank you for brightening our day by joining us on Coffee on the Coast.
Thank you so much for having me, Tina. Always a pleasure to be here.
It is, and it's a pleasure too because we always learn so much. You are chock full of information, as any great librarian should be, and so thank you for sharing the knowledge with us. Today we are going to be talking about a particularly important topic in our ever increasingly digital world. So let me just put this up really quick because we are talking about fact versus fake. How do you know what information to trust? And this is going to be a live program tomorrow night, Thursday, May 6th at 6 p.m. on the Manitowoc Public Library Facebook page. Julia, tell us more about this important topic.
Well, as a librarian, facts are very near and dear to my heart, right? So as a librarian, part of getting your master's in library and information science is learning about how to properly conduct research and how you can verify sources. And I think, like you were saying, it's more important today now than more than ever that people know how to verify all the information that's coming at us, because fake news is not new. It's been around for pretty much as long as print has been around. It's just with the dawn of the internet, it's so much easier to spread misinformation than ever before. I think we've all been there where we're on social media and we see a friend of ours or a relative of ours share something, and either we just see the headline. Headline makes us really upset. And so before we know it, we're sharing it, we're commenting on it, and it spreads like crazy. Now, whether or not that information is true or not is another question. It's so easy to share something, but it's a lot harder to actually dig and see, okay, what is the truth behind this? Because we were just before the show, Tina, you and I were talking about something called clickbait. A lot of those headlines are designed to grab your attention, to elicit an emotional response. So one of the tips we're going to be talking about is read beyond the headline. So often, the headline is this super inflammatory thing. You click on, you're like, oh, the story actually is completely different. That's not that exciting.
Right. So many times, if you actually read the story, it never even ties back into the headline appropriately.
Right. It's the headline isn't exactly untrue, but they certainly can be misleading. So a simple tip is, read beyond the headline and know what you're sharing before you share it. Another tip we're going to be talking about is check the date. A lot of times, I know this goes around social media all the time. People they'll see a headline, they'll get really upset by it, they'll share it. And then if you click on the article, it's 10 years old or it's months old. And it's not, again, it was news, but if it's outdated news, it changes the context in which the information is presented. So
Right.
and we were kind of talking about this again, Tina, as consumers of media, with all of the sources around us, the cards are kind of stacked against the average person, because who are you to think that the information you're reading is untrue? You'd like to think people are trustworthy. And for the most part, I think people aren't sharing misinformation on purpose. They just don't know how many things to watch out for when spreading from information or looking for true information. So the presentation tomorrow is going to give tips on how anyone can look at the information that they're consuming, whether it be through a news outlet, social media, or just a Google search. How do you know the information that you're getting from a Google search is accurate? So giving you tips that you can really critically analyze the information that you're consuming, and then know how to verify if the information is correct. So these are skills that anyone can use in their everyday lives. And of course, your friendly neighborhood librarians are always happy to help. As a library, we're always trying to connect people with information that they can use. So this is really definitely in line with the mission of the Manitowoc Public Library.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I think it's so important, the whole concept of evaluating your sources, whether it's digital or even if it's just a rumor that, gets whispered into your ear. It is so important before you share that information to really think about the validity of the sources. What are the sources? I've been trying to teach my teen, who is now, becoming proficient at Google searching information. Just because something shows up first on the Google search doesn't mean that it's verified, doesn't mean that it's accurate, doesn't even mean that it's true. You know, it's important to take that and then compare it to other sources. Like, does this kind of check out, like across news sources, or is there anything else that can validate that? And to really kind of think for yourself, because sometimes if it's sounds too fantastical, it often is too fantastical.
Absolutely. And one thing we're going to talk about are the three types of information. So, if we're going to have biased information, what that means, slanted information, and unbiased. So, unbiased, of course, is going to be information that states facts. Slanted is going to be still true, but they're going to frame it in a way that is slanted towards one side or another. It's not unbiased. It's definitely it's making one particular side shine in a brighter light. And then biased is going to basically tell you what you want to hear. And so looking out for those three different types of sources and seeing if you can evaluate, like, okay, is this source unbiased? Or does it definitely have a slant? Is it favoring one side over another? Or is it really just repeating what people want to hear? It's kind of reinforcing personal bias. And so that again is something really important for people to be aware of. Just evaluate the source itself. How credible is this source, and how biased is the information being presented?
Right. And I think sometimes the giveaways in things like that are our word choice. There are certain words that cast things in a certain light rather than a neutral word. You know, straight up news, typically tries to present things in a neutral way where they're relating the facts, but it's up to the viewer to make up their own mind. But then, like you said, there are definitely some headlines, some stories that are slanted, right? And you can tell by the word choice that it's peppered with that it's, corralling the viewer into a certain channel of belief.
Absolutely. And usually it's going to play on those emotions. It's going to want you to get really, really mad, or it's going to want you to think this is really, really good. So, that word choice is so important, and the emotions that the headlines try to elicit usually are another one of those red flags, like, oh, this is trying to get me to feel one way or another about this certain topic. This might not be completely unbiased, and how you can evaluate that.
This is so useful and so beneficial to all users of internet content, whether it's on Facebook, Google, anywhere that you are living in the digital world. I'm just going to put this up. What a beneficial presentation this is going to be. Fact versus fake. How do you know what information to trust? And this is going to be with your trusted librarian, Julia Lee. And this is tomorrow night, Thursday, May 6th at 6 p.m. And it's going to be live on the Manitowoc Public Library Facebook page.
I'm so excited. It's like a dream come true. I get to talk to people about facts and research. Hooray! It's gonna be a wild night, everybody. Get ready. You're gonna be so informed. You have so many skills. You can go out and do your own research. Oh, it's beautiful. So excited.
Well, it's just so comforting too, and to have that peace of mind to know that as you're consuming content, that you have the skills and some tools and tips and tricks to consume it discerningly.
Yes.
Because as they say, 80% of statistics are just made up on the spot.
I love that. And I think it's really important to note that this is, again, for everybody. So much of news, and I get to talk about this a little bit in the presentation, it's so polarizing. And no side of any politics has like the moral high ground on factual news. There are both ends of the spectrum that will slant or bias news in order to kind of appease their base. So it's on no matter what kind of political party you endorse. This is really important, just to have information. People like, you know what? This might not be as unbiased as I think it is, or this might not be as unbiased as this source is claiming to be. So it's completely politics neutral. Everybody's guilty of spinning facts, and everyone can benefit from just being able to consume media in a more conscientious manner, for sure.
Yeah, so beneficial. Well, I hope folks that are watching will tune in and edify themselves with these great tips and tricks and things to look out for when consuming media. Let's tell them one last time, Julia Lee, it is fact versus fake. How do you know what information to trust? Thursday, May 6th, 6 o'clock p.m., live on the Manitowoc Public Library Facebook page. Any other facts you want to leave us with, Julia?
Well, I think it'll be a fact that it'll be a great time. I look forward to talk about research, talking about media consumption tomorrow, and those tips to, like you said, give you a peace of mind and just let you know what you are consuming and the actual truth behind all the information out there. And then at Thanksgiving dinner or next time at your family gatherings, when somebody starts giving a statement or some statistics, you can be the one saying, cite your source, please.
That
Family
could possibly be
conversations
the
are
most
fun.
important statement to have in your quiver, right? Is cite your sources, please.
Can you cite your source? That I am so fun to have family conversations with, with as a librarian in the room. I'm like, that's a really interesting. Could you tell me where you got that statistic? Oh, it's real fun. But
It was just made up on the spot.
Yeah, in all seriousness, I mean, the more we can promote truth in our society, and the more that everyone knows what information is trustworthy and how to evaluate that, I think it'll just make everybody more, like I said, conscientious consumers, and then more confident consumers as well. So it can only be a good thing.
Right. Absolutely. Julia, thank you so much for coming on Coffee on the Coast to share this information and for making the presentation. I think the promotion of facts and knowledge and access to resources is so critical, and we are so fortunate to have you guys working towards that here on the coolest coast.
Well, thank you so much, Tina. I will see you tomorrow at 6 o'clock.
Yes, you rock. All right, take care, everyone. We'll see you next time on Coffee on the Coast.